I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. The title of tonight's Starborn show is called A Swift, Challenging Change. And we may all be going through that for a variety of reasons this week. And so this is sort of a heads up of what could be occurring. And it's divided into two things: the swiftness of that something changes and the challenge that it represents. Now, why are we talking about speed right now, or swiftness? It is because finally we have some planets that are trining each other in the dynamic, action-oriented fire signs. And fire signs like to move fast. So today we have 4 planets in the fire signs trining each other. And so, that means that some people are going to want to get something done real quick. And that's because today Mercury has gone into Aries, the sign of new beginnings, and it is at 0 degrees, and it is tightly conjuncting Neptune in Aries at 1 degree. So these two are in a close conjunction, and then the Sun is in Aries later on in the sign at 27 degrees. And those 3 planets are all being trined today by the Moon in early degrees, actually at 5 degrees of Sagittarius, which rules foreign countries, higher education, religion, philosophy, the courts, all the judicial system in the world, and it rules international law. So those 4 planets are beautifully trining each other, and they are trining the 3rd fire sign, which doesn't have any planets, and that is Leo. And because Leo rules leadership, there could be some new leadership emerging right now, rather quickly, since these are swift-moving signs. And so a leader that is emerging quickly right now, or swiftly, could be somebody who is connected to a large international organization, or to matters that have to do with international law or the courts, or negotiating some sort of new beginning, but it would be on a pretty broad scale. And so that's good. That is entirely possible, as a new leader possibly could emerge right now that could take care of swiftly resolving some sort of large legal issue. And so that's good. But at the same time, remember, there's going to be a challenging change going on. And why is that? Well, despite the fact that another sort of quick thing is happening right now, and it is that there are no retrograde planets. None. For the first time in months, there are no retrograde planets. That's adding to the swiftness of the fire signs too. But despite that, there can be challenges that are arising from other planets that are squaring each other harshly. And we have to be aware of those challenges. And so the first one is that there are 4 planets in a harsh T-cross among the mutable signs. Remember, in the last few weeks, there have been 5 planets in mutable signs, either squaring or in a harsh T-cross to each other, and that's happening now as well. And the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, are generally pretty easy to get along with people. I mean, they're mild manners. They can see someone else's point of view. But while they're under harsh aspects, that's a lot more difficult, even challenging. And that is because that very moon in Sagittarius that's trining the planets in Aries is by itself being opposed by Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter is Sagittarius's ruler. So the ruler is opposing the sun sign. That isn't too good. And Jupiter is opposing the moon in Sagittarius today. And both of them are being heartily squared by Venus and Saturn and the North Node in Pisces. And so this harsh T-square is sort of dumping its frustration into the 4th mutable sign, which is Virgo, and it doesn't have any planets in it. So it's still getting hit in a conflicting way where normally agreeable people are not getting along, or they're more consumed with their own interests than they are in wanting to support other people's interests. And then there are the real challenge is coming from the only planet today that is at the 29th degree of fate. Uh-oh, it's at the end of the sign. Something is either on or over, and that is Mars. Mars is in Cancer now at the 29th degree of Cancer. And it is the ruler of Scorpio, so it's trining the sign of Scorpio, but it's also the ruler of Aries, and it is heartily squaring that sun, which is at 27 degrees of Aries. That's almost an exact square. And it's squaring the Mercury and Neptune, which are conjuncting in early degrees of Aries. So Mars, there's 4 planets in the cardinal signs, and one of them is Mars in Cancer at the 29th degree of fate, indicating something is on or over, and another 3 are in Aries, and this harsh square between these planets is affecting the other 2 cardinal signs, because they're all also squaring and opposing the signs of Capricorn, which rules people's career, and the sign of Libra, which rules partnerships or legal matters. And so we just had a full moon in Libra last Sunday, and so that could have put an emphasis on partnership matters. However, now that Mars is at the 29th degree of fate, it is squaring the sign, 3 planets in Aries. It's opposing the sign of Capricorn, which rules people's careers and their public reputation, and it's squaring the sign of Libra, which rules partnerships and the law. And so what we see right now is that the placement of Mars at the 29th degree of fate in Cancer could actually force some sort of showdown, or it could force, Mars is an aggressive planet, or it could force the cancellation of a new beginning. And so why would that be? Well, first of all, because Mars is so strong, it's backed up by the planets in Pisces, and the 3 planets in Aries are backed up by the trine of the moon in Sagittarius, but that is not enough to overcome the tremendous force of that Mars at the 29th degree of fate in Cancer. And so there is the possibility that due to a family problem, we have to think of what Cancer rules. Well, it rules the United States, Ukraine, and Canada, but it also rules the family, and it rules home, and it rules real estate, and it rules endings. Cancer rules endings, and Mars is there at the 29th degree of fate. Something's on or over, and it looks to me like it's over because of the harsh square. Some new beginning could actually be canceled. It could be over. Or what I think it could also mean is that there can be a permanent ending to someone's career. Because remember that Mars in Cancer is opposing the sign of Capricorn, and Capricorn rules our careers, our public reputation, and even our retirement funds. And so this Mars opposition to Capricorn could indicate that someone's career is over. And so if Mars isn't forcing a showdown, it could be igniting some sort of cancellation of a new beginning as well. And so because of these aspects, there is an indication that it's sort of curtains for somebody or for something that looked as if it would have been a promising new beginning, but it isn't going to get off the ground. It'll be canceled instead. It could have something to do with a real estate matter, or a career that's ending, or a family matter that's just done for. It's either resolved, or nobody wants to fight about something anymore, so it's over in one way or another. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries, for you. Well, the sun is in your sign, Aries, at 27 degrees, and earlier in the sign, very early, Mercury has just moved into your sign, and it is conjuncting Neptune there. Mercury is the planet of the mind, and Neptune is a planet of dreams and high aspirations, and sometimes it rules escape, and it also can rule deceptions and omissions, or kidding yourself. And so you it might be possible that either somebody has been kidding you for a long time, Aries, and sort of they're not quite the way you thought they were, and you're beginning to see that now, or else you're kidding yourself about something that you thought would sort of work out your way. And the moon in Sagittarius is trining your sun. If you had in your mind to take a long distance trip, and because Sagittarius rules long distance travel, you could keep planning that. There still would be some sort of a hitch in that, or a delay. Or maybe you might even end up thinking that you didn't want to go after a while. Who knows? But because Mars is at the 29th degree of fate in Cancer and is squaring your sun at 27 degrees, that's almost an exact square. It looks to me, Aries, like there is a cancellation of a new beginning in your life. Now, I think that it is a new beginning that over time you're going to be pretty glad it didn't go forward. So if somebody's forcing a showdown, or they're canceling a new beginning that you were thinking about in one way or another, it may be something that you could thank your lucky stars for later on. It could represent a lucky escape from something that wasn't going to work out anyway. And so I wouldn't feel too badly about something ending right now. Particularly, I don't know if it's your career or somebody else's, but there could be a permanent career ending now, Aries. And look at it this way: if you just sort of lightened your load, or if there was something else that could worry you a little bit, is if you were involved in any kind of a legal matter that involved international law, that matter could come up now because the moon in Sagittarius is trining your sun. So you may think, oh, well, this will work out in my favor. But you know, the moon is the fastest mover of them all. It only stays in a sign for 60 hours or 2.5 days. So the moon is quickly going to move into Capricorn, where it will be squaring your sun. Some legal matter that you've been thinking of may not come out the way you thought it would. Or, you know, if you thought you were maybe going to get off the hook about something, possibly not. And so if I were you, Aries, I'd sort of slow down a little bit and take it easy. And if there is a challenge to your own plans, or a challenge to a family matter or a real estate matter, try to handle it with as much grace as you can. And my advice to you is get it over with as quickly as you can. Do not linger on tiny little points that you want to argue about. It won't do any good. So try to just go ahead, and if a new beginning is ending, yours is the sign of the pioneer. You could still go on and try something else. But I would think that this is a time when, if you are in a sticky situation, Aries, you really need to get out of it in one way or another. And I'd give it a try. All right, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time, Taurus, when one of the squares that are making changes somewhat challenging right now is occurring in the fixed signs, and yours is a fixed sign. And this is going to go on for a while, because Uranus is in your sign and it is being squared by Pluto in Aquarius. Now, there aren't any other planets in the earth signs, so there isn't anything in Virgo or Capricorn right now, and in fact they're both being challenged, so they have troubles of their own. But for right now, Taurus, that Uranus in your sign, which is a malefic planet denoting rebellion and sudden surprising change, and that's what the show is all about today, because there's more planets in fire signs right now. It simply means that somebody in a powerful position has their mind on the future. That's Pluto in Aquarius. And for one reason or another, they're not taking you with them, Taurus. Now, this may not break your heart at all, because, Taurus, you may just be thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to rock my own boat, and I'm happy where I am, or I have enough money to live on. You know, Taurus, your sign is a financial sign, and if you are facing any fluctuation in your financial investments, which is what your sign rules, you may just want to take care of that. That's enough to worry about. And you may want to solidify your financial position without making some swift change right now. And that would be a very good idea, because there are 3 planets in Aries right behind your sun sign, and they are all being attacked by that Mars at the 29th degree of fate in Cancer. So behind the scenes, there could be a real estate matter that's a little iffy. There could be investment matters that you're not sure about. There could be family members that aren't agreeing right now. In other words, there could be more pressure in the background of your life, Taurus, than you're telling people about, but it's there. And remember, the way that Mars is set up, challenging the planets in Aries, which are right behind your sun sign, it simply means, Taurus, that behind the scenes, something is on or over. Very definitely. I don't know if it's happening to you, or if it's happening to a family member of yours, or if it's happening to a job situation, because there could be a permanent career ending right now for anybody. And so I think you need to sit tight and try to take care of yourself, Taurus. And this would not be a good time to branch out. You would have no support for that. This would be a better time for you to sort of hunker down and try to write out a difficult situation and realize that something is over now. And it could be something you were counting on in the future, or it could be something that you had been enjoying for a while, and maybe there's a budget cut and your job is eliminated at work. And that might happen to people. So you have enough on your plate just to worry about yourself, Taurus. I wouldn't start anything new right now, because Aries, sign of Aries, which is supported by the moon in Sagittarius, but that isn't going to last very long. It is being so heartily squared by that Mars in Cancer, which really means business. And that's happening in the background of your life, where all is not peaceful right now. And if you think it is, you're kidding yourself. And that's just as bad. We all have to sort of face reality right now. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini. This is a time, Gemini, when you can certainly be eagerly looking forward to the future, because Jupiter is still in your sign, and it is being trined by Pluto in Aquarius. Now, Jupiter will leave your sign by June 10th and go into Cancer, but Pluto is going to be trining your sun for years. And we just had a full moon last Sunday in Libra, which also trined your sun. So you may have been able to work out some sort of legal agreement, or you may have realized that there's the possibility of a new contract offer coming your way, or it can be that somebody in a high position in a government agency, corporation, or institution could be wanting you to join them in one way or another. It might only be just working on a committee, or it might be some volunteer effort, or it could be a part-time job that's coming your way. And if it doesn't arrive on your doorstep right now, a Gemini, when the dust settles from this swift, challenging change, it could still arrive then, afterward. So I think your future is looking pretty bright right now. The problem is that yours is a mutable sign, and so that simply means that the moon today in Sagittarius is opposing that Jupiter in your sign. That's really not so bad. It just means that somebody else has got their mind on long-distance travel, or on some large international legal question, or even a religious question, or something that sort of is on a higher plane, or in a bigger issue than you want to really deal with right now, Gemini. So I would just pay attention to the small things in life. Your sign rules neighborhoods. You could be thinking of expanding your job, maybe at home, or moving to a new neighborhood. That would be just fine. Whatever you want to do that involves outreach and more communication, you should be doing right now, Gemini. Because even if Jupiter is being squared by the planets in Pisces and opposed by the moon in Sagittarius, you still have that Jupiter being trined by Pluto in Aquarius. You have to decide whether you want to, pick your battles, Gemini. You have to decide whether you just want to fight the nitty-gritty small facts, or whether you want to join something that is involving a bigger issue or a future project. And I'd go for the future if I were you, Gemini. That's the one that could be the most promising. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, you know, Cancer, you probably are coming to a conclusion, or you're probably saying to yourself, okay, something's on or over. Now, Cancers are very nice people. They just sort of go along with other people. You know, your sun, excuse me, your sign is ruled by the moon, which is somewhat passive. But the moon's in a fire sign today, Sagittarius. And so you have Mars at the 29th degree of fate in your sign. It has been in your sign for a long time. Because it went direct, then it went retrograde, now it's direct again. And at the 29th degree of fate, it simply means something is on or over. Now remember I said that there can be, excuse me, sorry about that, that there can be a swift, challenging change. You're definitely facing a challenge right now, Cancer, but on the other hand, it can be that some sort of challenge that you're facing could force a showdown. In other words, issues that had been boiling underneath the surface that were bothering you, maybe they're going to resurface and come out in the open, and you can finally resolve something. Maybe you're tired of your job and you want to change what you're doing, or else your employer does, because Mars in your sign is opposing the sign of Capricorn, which rules our 10th house of career, our public reputation, and retirement, and retirement funds. So you may be facing a sort of on or over situation that could even involve an issue regarding international law, because that's where the moon is in Sagittarius today. Or it can be if somewhere in your life there is a forcing of a showdown, it could mean the permanent end to a career. I'm not so sure it's your career, Cancer, but it could be somebody who thought they were going to have a brighter career or make a new beginning, and instead everything is over. And so that is a possibility that would be a challenge that you would have to face. I'm not so sure it's happening to you, Cancer, because your sign is heartily backed up by Venus and Saturn in Pisces, along with the north node of the moon. They're all tightly conjuncting each other, and they're trining that Mars. Behind the scenes, Cancer, you could be a lot luckier and happier and more fulfilled than anybody realizes. And so if you have the opportunity to go out in the public eye and make some big show or some big effort or get in some big fight, well, I wouldn't do it publicly no matter what, because of the square of Mars to the planets in Aries, which means that not only that it would force a showdown, which you would not want. Cancers don't like that. You know, there's other ways to win besides forcing a showdown. That's a little bit brutal. That's not a Cancer's nature. But anyway, instead of going that route, if you were doing something behind the scenes that involved someone or something that you really have cared for a very long time, Venus is conjuncting Saturn right now, that would tend to work out pretty well. And for some reason, there would be more money for it. All the planets in Pisces are in the last decan ruled by Scorpio, which is a fixed financial sign. And Mars is the ruler of one of the rulers of Scorpio, and it's in your sign. So if you haven't sold something, maybe you don't, there's more money coming to you, Cancer, one way or another. There's more money coming. Just hold the thought. And if I were you, I would avoid a forced showdown with anybody. If somebody wants to fight, why don't you be a little bit too busy, Cancer, or tell them you're sorry, you've got to go do something else and it's scheduled, you can't get out of it, and goodbye. Or whatever. Cancers are not big on fighting. And instead, there could be something much better behind the scenes that you've been thinking about for a long time, and it looks like that is coming to fruition. It looks like even if the whole world doesn't know about it, and you're the only one that knows about it, Cancer, it looks like that's going to work. And in fact, something could be over that's in the public eye, but whatever's behind the scenes that you've got your heart set on, that looks like it's on. Not over, but on. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, congratulations. There's finally some planets in the fire signs. You could feel all revved up and ready to go because the moon today in Sagittarius is trining your sun. That means you could be thinking about a long-distance trip or planning that, or even going back to college. That's ruled by Sagittarius. Or you could be very concerned about international legal affairs. And if there is a new leader that could be coming along, you may approve of the way their reputation and how they handle things. That would be great. And also, the Mercury and Neptune and the Sun, your own ruler, Leo, are in Aries trining your Sun. So definitely, Leo, something swift is going to happen in your life, and I think you're going to love it. And so it could involve foreign travel. It could involve a new beginning in one way or another. And I would say that the new beginning at least looks promising, and it sounds promising. But if I were you, Leo, I would look at the figures a little more closely, because Pluto in Aquarius is opposing your sun sign. That is a long-term opposition. And also Uranus in Taurus is squaring your sun sign. That's going to go on for another year, except for a couple months this summer. But otherwise, that's going to go on too. And so you really need to look at the bottom line, Leo, and make sure that whatever you've been adding up does add up. There could be a big disparity there between what you think is around and what you end up with. And yet, I think that you're sort of ready to roll right now, Leo. I think you want to go into action. And I think there's no reason not to. Go straight ahead. I mean, you've got 4 planets trining your sun sign, and one of them is your own ruler, the Sun. So you need to make hay while the sun shines, Leo, because the Sun is at Aries, but it's at 27 degrees, and it's being harshly squared by Mars at the 29th degree of Cancer. Since Mars is at the degree of fate in Cancer, and it's right behind your sun sign, there is probably a home or family or real estate matter that is either on or over. No maybes about it. It's either on or over. And it's in the background of your life. And it may have been something that had been under contention for a long time, or maybe you'd been undecided about it, or maybe you couldn't get the right terms on something, and now it's just a question of, is it on or over? Well, it's one or the other, Leo. There's not going to be any more discussion about it. And so I think that you should try to move forward, move on. Even if all you're doing is taking a vacation, do that, Leo. You'll just love it. So go into motion and start getting a little bit more busy, because there hasn't been a trine in the fire signs for a long time. And if you want to start off in a new direction, and you want to be head of it all, and you want to be in charge, I would say this is a golden moment for you to try that out, Leo. You should do that. Get going. All right. What does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time, Virgo, since yours is a mutable sign, and it's the only mutable sign that doesn't have a planet in it. And so the other 3 mutable signs all have planets in them that square or oppose your sun sign. So no matter which way you turn right now, Virgo, you're going to run into somebody who's got a different opinion than you do. And if you want to sit and press your own opinion upon others and be very detail-oriented about it, which is what you like the details, I don't think it's going to get you too far, because the moon in Sagittarius is squaring your sun, Jupiter in Gemini is also squaring your sun, and Venus and Saturn in Pisces are opposing your sun sign. There could be a long-term relationship, or even just something that you liked, or even maybe even your own career. Saturn rules careers, because it rules Capricorn. That could be sort of over, or ending, or changing in some way. And it would have the effect of taking you out. If you're in the spotlight, it would have the effect of taking you out of the spotlight a little bit. And you may not like that, Virgo, but I don't think there's much you can do about it either. Uranus in Taurus is the only planet trining your sun, and it's under duress because Pluto is squaring it. So these can be uncertain financial times. Now, to a Virgo, they could know that's happening in the world, but at the same time, Virgos are so careful, and Virgo rules accounting, that they do know where their next dollar's coming from, even if they did retire, or their job was canceled, and you know, they were suddenly looking for a new job. They still wouldn't be worrying about eating. Virgos have it tucked away. And so Virgo, if you sort of run into a stone wall, or if you run into a problem where other people who have normally been cooperative are not feeling like it right now, and I think that's been going on for a few weeks, I think you just need to concentrate a little bit more on what would make you happy, Virgo, and try to stick to that. And whatever would make you happy may have something to do with a relationship that had caused you a little sadness, or had been delayed or detained for some reason for quite a long time. And that's because Venus is in Pisces, opposing your sun sign, but it's conjuncting Saturn, and Saturn is the planet of time. So there may have been something, either in your career or in your private life, that you'd been, you know, you'd either been hoping that it would work out, but it didn't, or it could involve something that had brought you sadness in the past. And if you're still sort of feeling bad about that, Virgo, you have to realize one important fact in life, and it is that the sun always rises. There's always a new day. There's always a new chance. There's always something better out there, and you can find it. Virgos are modest, but Virgo, you have talent. And if you want to if you want to make an old dream come true, it would sure be a reach right now, but maybe you could do it. At least you could try. On the other hand, if you wanted to downsize a little or slow down a little bit, this would be a very good time to do that, because Virgo, you could have been under some pressure, particularly in the last few weeks when there were so many planets in mutable signs and none of them were getting along. And so if I were you, Virgo, I'd get a rest. And just as you rest and you work on your health a little bit, your mental health and your physical health, that will do you a lot of good. Because each day is a new beginning. And you can go forward if you want to, or you could rest first and then go forward. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra. This is a time, Libra, particularly since we just had a full moon in your sign on Sunday. So there was a lot of light in your sign, when you could actually see that there were some choices that you would be able to make. And boy, is that true right now, Libra, because yours is a cardinal sign. And oh boy, the cardinal signs are getting hit. Even though there's nothing in your sign, Libra, there's nothing in Capricorn either, and it's a cardinal sign. It's getting hit too, because Mars in Cancer is squaring your sign, Libra. Something is definitely on or over. It could involve a partnership or a legal agreement or a home or family matter or a real estate matter. It's either on or over, that's it. If it's on, congratulations. If it's over, it's been a long time coming, but it could be a relief. The other thing is that the cardinal signs are getting hit because that Mars in Cancer is opposing the sign of Capricorn, which rules our careers. Well, Capricorn squares your sun too, Libra. And so somebody could be coming to a permanent career ending. There is the possibility that it could be you. And it could be something where you wouldn't mind that too much. And the reason why is that you yourself, Libra, could be looking toward the future. And maybe you have been sort of stuck somewhere for a while. or going through the motions and doing things that were just expected of you. But Jupiter is in Gemini, it's still trining your sun. Pluto is in Aquarius, it's going to be trining your sun for years. So yes, you are under some sort of home or family or personal relationship or real estate thing or legal matter that is on or over, and I think it's over. And it could even lead to a permanent job ending. And you might be ready for that, Libra. That may not bother you too much because you already have Jupiter and Pluto trining your sun. I think you're ready to move into the future, Libra. And what you've had is you've had ties from the past sort of clinging to you. And you don't need that anymore. It doesn't mean that you have to go out into no man's land and be a perfect stranger. You don't have to do that, Libra. Your sign rules partnership. You could form new partnerships. You could head into the future, possibly with people that are also headed into the future. You'd be in better company. You really would. And they could involve working in a temporary or part-time way or with young people, because Jupiter's in Gemini and that's what Gemini rules. So there's a world of opportunity ahead of you, Libra, but at the same time you can be facing something that's either on or over, and I think it's over. Don't shed a tear, Libra. Just think of your future. It's looking great, so congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio. This is a time, Scorpio, when you can be very determined about something. You could be at a place now where no matter how much thinking and analyzing and looking things over, particularly financial matters over, because your sign is a financial sign, as you're looking everything over, something has reached the conclusion stage for you, Scorpio. And the reason something has come to a conclusion is because your own ruler, Mars, is at the 29th degree of fate in Cancer, and it trines your sun. Well, Saturn, another malefic planet, Mars is a malefic planet, so is Saturn. Saturn is, it's at 26 degrees, and Venus is at, and the North Node is at 27 degrees, and Venus is at 28 degrees. They're all in Pisces, in the last decan of Pisces, which is sub-ruled by Mars and Scorpio, that rule, Mars and Pluto that rule your sign, and they are trining your sun. You have a lot of strength trining your sun sign, Scorpio, and yours is it's a fixed sign. It's a pretty strong sign. So I would say, if you were looking around for a little help from your friends, be careful what you ask for, Scorpio, because, ooh, you could get a lot of help right now. Really forceful help, in fact. At the same time, if you were thinking of a fond goal or dream or a mission that you had been thinking about in your mind for years and years, or somebody that you've really cared about for years and years, this is the time to make that happen. In fact, I think it's just going to happen, Scorpio, one way or another. So instead of fighting the forces around you, if I were you, I would marshal the forces that you need in order to go after what you want behind the scenes, because Venus and Saturn are conjuncting each other and trining your sun, and realize that something that has to do with a family matter, a home, real estate matter, or even a career ending is either on or over. There's no two ways about it. It's either on or over. Whichever way that goes, you're going to benefit, Scorpio. It's going to be the right thing. I'm not saying you're on or over, but someone or something that you're associated with is on or over. And you know, it's been a long time coming, and it's got to be that way. And the reason why is it also involves a matter of justice. There's all kinds of justice. The kind of justice in the law books, and the kind of justice that's on the international stage and in the courts. And there's a justice just from people who don't treat you right, or people who are cruel, or very greedy. in one way or another. Greed is something that a Scorpio wouldn't go for, because Scorpios are usually not greedy at all. They know how to manage money. They're good at that, but they're not greedy. And so this is a time when, because of an element of justice that is correct, you are going to benefit. Because something that has been ongoing for a long time is either on or over, and it's curtains, Scorpio. It's just curtains. I think you're going to love it. It's like having a load lifted from your shoulders. Oh, like you could breathe again. So good luck and congratulations. All right, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius. The moon is in your sign today, Sagittarius. Congratulations, because it's being trined by Mercury, Neptune, and the sun in Aries. So that's why there can be a swift but challenging change going on. Well, the swiftness is sure going to hit you, Sagittarius, and your sign rules long distance travel. I bet you've got a trip planned, Sagittarius. And if you don't have it planned, I bet you're still thinking of one. and pretty much deciding that you're going to do it. One way or another, you could do it. So I'm not sure it's a long trip, but it could be a fairly long distance, and even if it was a shorter trip, it would work out for you. Your ruler, Jupiter, is still in Gemini. It will only be there until June 10th, and then it will leave and go into Cancer. But it is opposing your sun, and yours is a mutable sign where the moon is today. Jupiter is in Gemini, another mutable sign, and it's your ruler. And so there are people that, you know, they're talking one way, and you're feeling another, and it may not be working out quite right now, Sagittarius, but then you could be deciding to just take off and start something new anyway because of the planets in Aries that are trining your sun. That's great. But at the same time, there are planets in Pisces that have been there for a long time, and they're very good planets. And one is Saturn, and it is conjuncting not only the lucky North Node, but Venus in Pisces, and they are squaring the moon in your sign. And so there is a relationship for you, Sagittarius, that probably it's not going to quite go the way you were envisioning it. Or it can be that for one reason or another, it could actually be a good reason. For one reason or another, it sort of doesn't get off the ground right now. And you'd be facing some sort of delay. Saturn is a planet of delay. You maybe have been facing that same delay for a long time, or some sort of something that had been bothering you for a long time behind the scenes that you hadn't told anybody about. Well, that's true too. But remember, Saturn is about to leave Pisces, so pretty soon it's not going to be squaring your sun. Venus is going to leave Pisces because it's at the end of Pisces. Both of those planets are. And so that'll stop the square. And so something that's been holding you back, it could be doubt, or it could be, because Saturn rules doubt, it could be just a certain kind of hesitation, like you know this isn't the good old days, but you're not too sure what you're walking into either. However, now that there's 3 planets in Aries trining your sun, Sagittarius, I would plan on going forward with something. And it's only a question of how big is the step you're going to take. I think you're going to take a new step. But is it a small step? Or is it a medium step? Or is it a great big step? Well, I'd start with the small one first, Sagittarius. See how you do with that. And then perhaps you can continue on. Maybe that would work out just fine for you. When Jupiter leaves on June 10th, leaves Gemini on June 10th, it won't be opposing your sun sign anymore, which means you're going to have a much more fun summer than you think. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time, Capricorn, when you may be facing some sort of disappointment. And it may not have anything to do with you personally, Capricorn, but it would be a disappointment in something that you are related to. If you're retired, it could be something related to your former employer that would worry you a little bit. And it also could be something that pertains to your health. in one way or another, and that is because Mars is in Cancer right now. It's being beautifully trined by the planets in Pisces, but it is opposing your sun sign. And so there is the possibility, and it's squaring the Libra sun, and it's very forcefully squaring all 3 planets in Aries, which are also squaring your sun sign, Capricorn. And that's why I think you can be disappointed in something. It could be a new beginning that you were wanting to make. And instead, you could begin to realize, well, something is really on or over. And it could have something to do with a home or a family matter or some sort of permanent career ending. And so, as I said, it may not hit you, Capricorn, but it could perhaps hit a former employer of yours or something that your money is connected to in one way or another. In other words, if you were retired and you were retired from some firm that is now in some sort of legal trouble, would that affect your retirement? Probably not, but you could be disappointed or worried about that anyway. And so it wouldn't be you personally, but it might be some organization you're connected to that is going to have to go through some challenging change right now. And that could affect you, Capricorn. So while Mars is at the 29th degree of fate and opposing your sun sign, I would sort of watch where you walk, Capricorn. Be real careful. Keep a low profile. Don't fight with family members because they're going to want to fight with you. And just avoid it. You know, try to read a good book. Maybe 4 or 5 of them. So you don't have anybody to talk to and you can still enjoy yourself. Or if you have a hobby, work a little harder on that yourself, because that could give you a lot of inner satisfaction. And this is a time when trying to get inner satisfaction and realize your own self-worth is very important for right now, Capricorn. That's what you should be thinking about. No matter what is on or over, you have a sense of self-worth, which is perfectly justified. And you should be saying to yourself, it isn't how my life interacts with others right now. It's how do I run my own life. And Capricorns are pretty careful people. They may be rather pleased with how they can run their own life. And your ruler, Saturn, is being beautifully conjuncted by Venus right now and trined by that Mars. So you yourself are not in trouble, Capricorn, but there can be situations around you that are sort of on or over right now. And that is why you should say, you know, I have my own self-worth. I have the things I'm proud of that I've done. And keep reminding yourself of that, Capricorn, because it's true. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time, Aquarius, when you can be really enthusiastic about starting off and on a new future project, or heading into the future in one way or another, and sort of coming into your own ideas and having the strength of your convictions and deciding, well, gee, I think I'll do something my way. Well, the whole time that Pluto is in your sign, you're going to be thinking like that, Aquarius, because it's going to be true. You are coming into your own power. Now, Pluto is the slowest moving planet in the heavens. I didn't say it's going to happen fast, Aquarius. I just say you're coming into it and you're going to keep going and developing more and more of your own power. And it could be that you are going to have a stronger belief in your own convictions and your own ideas. That's good. Pluto hasn't been in any of our lifetimes. It hasn't been in Aquarius in any of our lifetimes. No, because it's such a slow mover. Since 1930, when it was discovered, it's only moved halfway around a chart. Still has the other half to go. So Pluto's going to be in your sign a long time, Aquarius. It's being trined by Jupiter in Gemini right now, which means if you wanted to work with younger people, you'd have a wonderful time. You might learn a lot from them too, which would be great. Remember, it's going to be Jupiter that's trining your sun. That's only going to stay in place until June 10th. So if you wanted to have any question about anything that involves a future plan of yours, believe it or not, you don't have to go and ask the age-old experts. You have to go ask a young person what's going on. They'll fill you in. and you're future-oriented anyway. So I hope that you link up with younger people, particularly this summer and before June 10th, because they would look up to you and you would welcome them with open arms. You'd both benefit tremendously. Jupiter trine Pluto, that's great. On the other hand, Uranus and Taurus, your own ruler, has been squaring your sun for 6 years. It's going to go into Gemini on July 7th, and for the whole summer, you're going to have a real happy summer, Aquarius, because it's going to be trining your sun, and then it's going to go into Taurus for another year. It won't be until next year when it begins to trine your sun, and then that will be the beginning of a 7-year stay of Uranus in Gemini, which will trine your sun and the Libra sun the whole time, and those will be the 7 happiest years of your life. That's why you don't look back, and if something's on or over, that was yesterday. Just look forward, Aquarius, because you're going to be on a roll for a long time to come. So just do it. You can. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces. This is a time, Pisces, when I don't mean old love like an old person. What I mean is some old love that you've had in your heart for a long time. And so it could be real important to you. And Pisces, that's because Venus is in your sign, and it is conjuncting the lucky north node of the moon and Saturn. And it's all 25 degrees, 26 degrees, 27 degrees, and 28 degrees. These 3 things are really compact in your chart, Pisces. And they're all being trined by that Mars in Cancer, which can be creating swift but challenging changes for all of us. But that Mars in Cancer isn't hurting you, Pisces. It's trining your sun. It's been doing that for a long time now. It's been giving you backbone. Well, actually, Saturn in Pisces has been giving you backbone. And Mars trining it means that, you could have been harboring under a rather heavy workload in the past months, or even this year, the whole time that Mars was in Cancer trining that Saturn. And it can be that worked out well for you. You would have achieved something pretty nice from all of that. So I think that your efforts, which could have been rather hard-working for a lot of this year, can be rewarding. They may have already been rewarding. But this old love, it could be something that you loved either when you were younger and you've kept loving it, or it could be a person that you've had secretly in your heart for a very long time, and perhaps they're coming closer to you, or you're coming closer to them at last, and it's almost the answer to a prayer, or the answer to a dream, or some way to fulfill you. And after all of this time, the one thing that you know for sure, Pisces, is you've been living without that fulfillment, and you already know what that's like. And it's something you don't want to go back to. And Mars in Cancer means something's on or over, but it's trining your sun. And so if you've been stuck in something that's sort of not really what you want, maybe it's over now. But something that you've had sort of tucked inside your heart that people didn't know about and you didn't talk about too much, that's something, whether it was a person or a goal, that's so important to you right now, Pisces, that now it's up to you to embrace it and admit it and realize it's part of your life. And it's certainly in your heart. And it's not going anywhere, Pisces. And so something else is on or over. And if that forces a showdown or it cancels a new beginning, that's fine. That's fine. Because what's inside of you, Pisces, you've lived and worked. Whatever you've been doing it. But it hasn't really been as fulfilling as what you've kept inside your heart carefully because it was so precious to you. And now you got to do something besides let it sit there. You got to realize it's a part of you now, Pisces. And that's what you've got to wrap your arms around. Because none of us is meant to go through life alone. And we're not meant to keep things squirreled away in our private hearts. We're meant to share. So I hope you do that, Pisces. And you do know the difference between the everyday stuff and the real thing. And now it's time to act on the real thing. Particularly since you've got these planets trining your sun. You've worked hard enough to deserve it, Pisces. So when are you going to admit that? And do something about it. Go to it. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. And I thank you for the new subscribers. I hope that you tell your friends about the STARBORN show. And you can see it under my Karen Campbell YouTube channel. And until then, I will just see you right here next week. And I urge you to be a little bit careful now about swift but challenging changes that could occur either to you or around you. And let's just try to keep it on an even keel this week. Thanks a lot. Bye.